is a solo one. You can only walk it alone. Two people can't walk down a narrow path. This is not a group thing. This is an individual thing. It's something you must learn to do yourself. And you're never going to learn to do it as long as you're depending on somebody else to do it for you, which is Mars here. I understand what's going on. You're wanting somebody else to do it for you. Well, you'll be doing it for yourself soon enough. And that's the whole point. Pisces, this age, is about groupthink. It's the collective. It's the collective subconscious. It's the collective consciousness. It's the groupthink. It's churches. It's organizations. It's mystery schools. It's brotherhoods. That's all this age is about. That power in numbers. Literally and figuratively, metaphorically, in every way. But that's what this is about. But we're moving into Aquarius, which has to do with the third eye. And that's about individual sovereignty. Because that's the only way to get there. Is to take up your cross and follow him. Not follow me, follow him. Every one of you should get to the point that you don't need Lavette anymore. You don't need Lavette's channel. You got this. You need to be carrying your own cross. You need to be opening your own channels. And you need to be passing this information off to others. I don't want you to forever be a sub on my channel. I want you to outgrow me. If you don't outgrow me, then I'm not doing this right. I'm doing something wrong. You need to outgrow me and come back and say, hey, Lavette, let me teach you something. That's what I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on the student to teach the master. The one. I need every one of you to be that one. That's when this thing starts working. That's when it starts spreading. That's when it becomes powerful. And we all have to lean on each other. We're forced to. Like I said, we are created in such a way that I can't scratch my own fucking back. You've got to do it for me. I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Because there are just spots back there I can't reach. We need each other. But coming into the kingdom to open the third eye, that's a solo journey. And nobody can go with you. That's why it's easier for a single person. It's hard. If you don't do this in childhood, you generally won't open your eye till real later in life, unless there's some type of trauma that triggers it. Some type of breakdown or major disaster that triggers the third eye open, which is what's going to happen when we move into Aquarius. That's what we're told. In the moment, in the twinkling of an eye, in a twinkling of the eye, this mortality puts on immortality. And that happens in an instant. That stone from heaven. Here's your stone from heaven. The stone the builders rejected. The thalamus. To open the pineal gland, you have to go through the thalamus. Everything goes through the thalamus. The hypothalamus, the thalamus, into the pineal gland. There are two snakes. I'm being triggered with this real hard right now and told to come back here. Because this is the land of two serpents. Egypt, which is Taurus, and Gemini, which is Buddha. Buddha, the Hermes, the duality, the two knowledges, the two snakes, the lower kingdom and the upper kingdom. There are two. One is Kundalini. It comes from the base, which is Mars. The other one, it comes from the heart, Venus, the hypothalamus. It comes from the heart. And so the two serpents, upper and lower Egypt. There are two enlightenments. There are two angels. There are two. It's duality. They look alike. It's like me looking in a mirror. One is tangible and one is untangible. I don't know a better way to explain that. But upper kingdoms and lower kingdoms. The lower kingdoms are the lower chakras of Mars, Jupiter, the Sun, and the Moon. The upper kingdoms are Venus, Mercury, and Saturn. When you open later in life, I'm learning this through growing old. I've done the wife thing, I've done the family thing, the mom thing, the college thing. Now I've gone through menopause. So I'm at that stage now to where I have no attachments. I could easily, I'm at a point to where it would be easy to walk down that road, and that narrow path, and open my third eye all over again. I know when I do that, I'm not coming back here. The next time I open my third eye, I'm staying there in the land of milk and honey. I'm not coming back. I don't care if this body goes into a coma or it dies or whatever it does. I don't care about it. It's just a body. It's just a car. I need to take care of it while I own it, while I'm in it, but it's not me. It's temporal. But my soul, my sun, my star, my stone is eternal. Infinite. In the Phi, the P-H-I, the Phi. We spelled that word wrong. Let me give it to you. You are in the Phi, which is the 1.618 ratio that does this, night. It goes on forever. And ever, and ever, and ever. But they're turning back time. They're doing everything. They're doing the swirl, the counterclockwise, right? They're inverting, perverting everything. So you have to know that. But later in life is a perfect time when you're a senior, when you're at that grandparent stage, and even the grandkids are gone and they don't come around very often. You can do this now. You can start meditating, start going within, fasting. Your body's already weak, but your soul, your light, your spirit, your inner sun can be strong, and it can come. You break open that calcified pineal gland. That chicken comes out of that egg. So in that analogy, which comes first, the chicken or the egg? The egg does. Forwards and backwards. It's like I've told you. And we're only told one story. We're told the story in one way that Eve was taken out of Adam. But in the other direction, it's Adam that comes out of Eve. That's why it don't make sense to you. Well, how can that don't make sense? It makes sense if Eve was the first and Adam came from her. And, well, it is in the story told the other way. But we're only given one story told one way. What I'm doing is based on alchemy, and it starts the spring equinox at 0 degrees, and then you count 30, 30, 30, 30. But you need to know the marker of each house coming in and out. That's where the first commandment comes in. The first commandment, thou shalt have no other God before me, was when this star right here, which translates to, you need to know this, the first sign, the first symbol, signpost ahead. This is the first one. When the spring equinox started here, this star was at 0. But now the spring equinox is way over here, right? But we can still use this star for a 0 marker for Aries. So we can start right here and count 30 degrees back into Pisces. And then 30 degrees back into Aquarius. And 30 degrees We can do it that way. What I do is use the stars, and then I come down here and I line it up using the equatorial and the azimuthal grid. Your longitude, your astrological longitude and latitude lines. And then you can perfectly graft out where a star is. Think this world age of Jupiter is coming to an end really fast. Really, really fast. They say time is speeding up. But Uranus here, back to that Uranus in cardinal fire. This is a time of self-purification. That's probably the most important thing you need to know right now. Is don't run out trying to change other people. Change you. Change you. Nobody else. You're not allowed to change anybody else, especially with Mars over here in water, aspecting the water of Pisces this age. This is Mars's house. This is Mars's house. So you can't do Mars's do action. You can't do anything for anybody but yourself right now, right here. If you try to project what you need to take care of inside yourself off on somebody else, that's going to backfire in your face. And because this fire here, Uranus here, this fire is only going to do one of two things. It's either going to purify you or burn you to the ground. Your choice. It's always your choice. All things are in duality. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is the tree of the knowledge of duality. So there's always left and right, up and down. But what we're not told is that third path, that narrow path. And that's the path of the observer. So you don't do nothing. You don't do anything on the left and you don't do anything on the right. You stand in the middle and observe. That is the fixed cross is in the cross in the middle. It's the cross of the observer. It doesn't lean to the left or to the right. It's the observer, the master. It's there observing and learning. It's absorbing. It goes within. It's that straight and narrow path, that fixed cross. I have so many new subs, and so many of you are so confused. The last thing I would ever want to do is cause more confusion. This age is confused enough. But I also do not have time to go back and take you by the hand and take you back to Inside 33 or back to the Lavette channel. And that is, there are 3 crosses at Golgotha, and there are 3 crosses in the heavens. We've all been crucified and hang up on one of those crosses. The Master, Balaam, told us to take up our cross and follow him. The mouth of the fish, Balaam, the fish mouth. He's the lamb. He's Be the Lamb. He's Bethlehem. He's Thelema. He's the master. He's the teacher. He's the guiding light. It's the thalamus. That y'all need to go learn anatomy, brain anatomy. You need to know about the pineal gland, the thalamus, the amygdala, the hypothalamus. You need to know the hippocampus. The white horse is the hippocampus. He's the memory. He's either a white horse, a white-winged horse, or he's a seahorse. Hippocampus literally means seahorse. And it's all symbolic. The mouth of the fish. This is the fish mouth. That is what they call the Mayan calendar. The man in the middle that they are calling the sun. He sticks out his tongue, and his tongue is a fish. There you go. That's what that is. It's all metaphorical and symbolical. What you need to know to understand is the linguistic thing. The first thing I ever learned about the English language that made sense at all was that the fact we're the only language on the planet that puts the subject before the verb. I'll say that again. We're the only language on the planet that puts the subject before the verb. Our sentence structure is backwards. compared to all other languages. We say, John, go to the store. Everybody else says, go to the store, John. So when we look at words like mouth of the fish, it's, you take fish, bring it back over here, so it's fish mouth. You have to move the subject either to the front or to the back, because it's been inverted, perverted. That's the dividing of the tongues at Babylon. Greek is flipped Arabic with no vowels. Christ said, take no oath. An oath is a vow to L, a vowel, a vow to L, a vow to God. You take no vows to any gods. You take no oaths. That's an encoded alchemical terms that means throw away the vowels if you want to know the real meaning and the root of the word. That's why I don't agree with the gematria that's done online. You don't know. Vowels are variable. You took an oath. When you include the vowels in your gematria, that's the same thing as you taking an oath, because you took a vow to L. You have to throw away the vowels. And we're left with THLM. His name is Thalem. It's the thalamus, the THLM. It's the lama, the THLM. It's Fomalhaut, THLM of. But there are rules that you must follow. And those rules is you move the subject. If it's before the verb, you put it after it. If it's after the verb, you move it before. You have to change it. You take no vowels to L, you throw all the vowels away. So you're left with the constant. Vowels are variable. The vowels are represented by the planets, by the way, and the constellations are represented by the consonants of your sentences, your alphabet. You have vowels and consonants, and they're represented by the planets and the constellations. That's a fact. And that's why it's written in the stars. Alchemy and astrology are a language when you bring them together. So we have found that Fomalhaut in Arabic, he's the king. He's the heir to the throne. He's the Dauphin, the Dauphin, the dolphin. He comes with the hippocampus. He's the rider on the white horse. He brings all memory of this life and past lives. All of them are there in the DNA. It's all there. He brings all that with him. He's the THLM. Bethlehem, the Lamb, Fomalhaut, Thalem, Thelema. Now Crowley, what he did was he channeled Thelema, but he told you that it was here. Actually, here. This is a builder is a mason. Joseph was a carpenter. There are no carpenters in the damn desert. That word is builder, and a builder is a mason. So Joseph was a stonemason, and he took Jesus down into Egypt, which is represented by Taurus, for 12 years, which means he learned the 12 houses of the zodiac. That's what he went down there to do. So he went through the mystery school and he learned all 12 houses. But Crowley is giving you Sirius because he's a builder. This is the stone the builders rejected. This is the lower kingdom, right? Because you get the lower kingdom comes from the teaching. You had Gemini, Buddha, Thoth, Hermes, and they taught the rising of the Kundalini. So that was incorporated into this age. So they're raising the lower kingdom Kundalini. Here, this is the narrow path. This is the other snake on the head. The Pharaoh's got two snakes because it's the lower kingdom, earth, and the heavenly kingdom, air. That's another thing you need to know. And it's like the Bible. It's an alchemy book. It's an alchemy astrology book. When you see the word heaven, that means an air sign. There are 3 heavens: Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. There are 3 earth signs: Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. You need to know. And you're never gonna learn this sitting in a pew in a church. You must open your mind to the language. The altar, the pulpit is at the altar. You walk down the red carpet, you get pulled to the pit and altered. He's not a preacher, not a teacher, he's a preacher. And in a preacher is the word reach. That's why the scribes scribbled the scriptures and gave you Bible, Bibble, Babble at Babylon. What I did was just unscribble it. When I broke the code to language and how they divided the tongues, Arabic is flipped Greek. Period. Throw away the vowels, reverse the consonants, and you have the exact same word. THLM. And it's that way throughout the languages. All languages are a flipped version of another language on the other side of the world. That's what they did. But they kept the code for themselves. So when they went to South America and they found the Mayan calendar, the stone the builders rejected, they knew what it was. That's the stone that crushes the feet of iron and clay. The feet of iron and clay, iron is represented by Mars, and clay is represented by Mercury. Mars is emotion, action, war, and Mercury is money. Money, commerce, trade. Mercury runs Wall Street. It's commerce. He's the whore of Babylon here. We know Mercury here as Buddha, Thoth, but in this age of Pisces, we look up on the mutable cross and we see the whore of Babylon. And she's mutable earth. And they're trying to mix war with her. And that's in one story. That story's told this way. The other story is the one Jesus told us. And he said, this is the woman with the alabaster box. And I freaking love her. That's right. But they corrupted the markets because they brought in war. Emotion and war and sex. That's what Mars does. He's all lower chakra vibration. The Proverbs and all through Proverbs, it's all about Mercury and Mars. You got to control your actions, your emotions, and your tongue. It's not what goes into a man's mouth that defiles him, it's what comes out. Because what comes out of your mouth is what's in your heart, Venus, and your mind, Mercury. That's your fruit. Your fruit comes out your mouth. I'm going to say this. I'm going to scream this until I can't scream it anymore. But if you think you're woke and you running around hating on everybody, spewing hate, you're not woke. You're not woke. You're just a joke. But you ain't woke. Because when you really woke up, you realize you have to have love for everybody. Love thy enemy. If you can't love your enemy, then you're just a babe. You're not there yet. You're still in the egg. You still think that's the whole end all that be all. But you ain't woke. And love is not a feeling. I think that's the most misunderstood word. Love is an action word. It should be tied directly to Mars, and we've tied it to Venus. Love is something you do, not something you say, Mercury. Not something you feel, Venus. It's something you do, Mars. But we get emotional Mars trapped up in it. Love is an action verb. When you feel something, that's lust, emotion, but that's not love. Love denies self for the benefit of another. And I do know about other girls. We grew up being told, so we believe that if a guy says he loves you or has sex with you, that he loves you. That's not true. But we don't ever seem to get over. We can't get past that. You got to. Because love is not something you feel. You can feel hate for your enemy and still love them. Love is doing right by your fellow man, regardless of what they feel, what they do, or what they say. The hate don't do anything to the other person, but the hate makes me sick. Hate does nothing. Hate is like taking poison and thinking it's going to make the other person sick. The person you hate's going to die. No, you're going to die because you're the one drinking the poison called hate. Let it go. Let it go. You got to reconcile that within yourself. Damn, I feel like I'm giving a lecture right now. Where did this come from? Somebody obviously needs to hear this. I think we all need to hear this. I have to tell myself this often. That love is not something you feel. It's something you do. You do it out of respect. That's another human being. I hate what's going on in politics right now. All the name calling and the finger pointing. Nobody wants to take responsibility. It's your fault. It's you did this, you did that. It's out of control. And it's all coming down. And the only ones that are going to be left standing are those in the middle. Those who are not on the left and not on the right, but they're on that fixed cross. It's fixed. It's immovable. They've become the observer. Only the observer learns anything. You need to know that. You can't learn anything if you're on one side or the other. You're just action and reaction. To be the observer is to stand in the middle. Looking at both sides, but only judging yourself. I look at both sides and do I have that in me? Do I do that? They're both in a self-destruct mode right now. The left's in a self-destruct mode because they're alienating 90% of the country in one way or another. When they come off with this hate the white man thing, they need to wake up, because I don't know about the rest of you. There are no white people left. We're all mixed. We're all mixed. Even the black people here in America. I'm sorry. Y'all got white in your gene pool. Look at you. You're hating part of your own self because you're so worried about the color of your skin and that somebody done you wrong. I don't want you to judge me by the color of my skin. I wrote a poem way back on my first channel. It's on Inside 33 and it's called Sticks and Stones. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but with time that always heals. But it's the words people use. They cut and they sear your heart and your mind. And time never, ever heals that. There's always a scar to remind you. Words are far more damaging than even actions. In the meantime, be the observer. Be kind. Be loving. Love is an action. It's something you must go and do. So go do it.